Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to my channel, Do Ministry Gaming, and in this video, I'm going to be doing an Atlas Ascendancy review for the Haewark Hamlet map zone. So this video is part of an ongoing series where I cover each of the Atlas map regions, and I go through what each of the Atlas Ascendancy passives do, and then I follow that up with talking about some common strategies that I deploy or that I've seen other people deploy in terms of combining them with things like sextants and map device mods and scarabs and anything else in order to extract the maximum value that you can out of these Atlas Ascendancies. And just a quick disclaimer, of course, I can't cover every single strategy that's ever out there. There are just too many, and there's a lot that I don't know of, but I will cover the ones that I do know of, the ones that I like to deploy personally, the ones that I think are effective, and the ones that I've seen from some other people who have found success in farming these Atlas passives as well. So just, if there's something that I didn't cover and you think it's a great strategy, I'd love to hear about it. I think other people would appreciate it too. So make sure you leave a comment in the description below and let us all know if there's a particular strategy that you're running and is working well. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. And again, the area is Haewark Hamlet for this video, and I will start off with the left 6 nodes over here, the blue ones, and these are related to the Harvest League mechanic. Now, the first big node that you're going to come across is the Grove's Call. This one's pretty straightforward. Areas have 10% chance to contain a secret grove, plus 10% chance. So the base chance, I believe, in 3.14 is 8% to see a sacred grove. That was up from the 5% in 3.13 because of all the changes they made in 3.14 to the Harvest League mechanic. And so the Grove's Call will give you an additional 10%, bring that up to 18%. So more than double the base chance to see a sacred grove. And then from there, you can grab 2 different nodes here. The Nature's Favor, plants harvested in areas are more likely to give less common crafting options. What that means is it's more likely to give things like augment, which normally would be very rare and probably still is with this node, but at least it gives you a higher chance to get those. And then the other one is wild fruit. Harvest crops in areas have 100% increased chance to contain a tier 4 plant. And so a tier 4 plant is the highest tier plant that you can get. There are 3 different ones. If you're not familiar with what they are, it is the ones that are fracture an item, or synthesis implicit modifiers, or influence modifier related crafts. So those are the 3 tier 4 plants. And the tier 4 plants are the ones where when you spawn it, sort of like a little mini boss spawns, and they're a little hard to kill sometimes depending on your build or where you're at with the game. But once you do, it will unveil one of those tier 4 crafting options between the 3 that I mentioned. And so these nodes are pretty straightforward. There's not much explaining to do. I mean, basically it increases the chance that you're going to see sacred groves. And then once you see one, it's going to increase the quality of the sacred groves, depending on which one you go with, either seeing more rare crafting options or seeing higher tier plants. Now, if you think 18% chance to see a sacred grove is too low for you and you want to see one every map, there is a way to force it, and that is through the map device. This is in 3.14. There is the Harvest map device mod here. I've still got a free one, so I can't see the cost, but I do believe the cost is 12 chaos to run a Harvest on the map device. So if you don't want to leave it to chance and you really just want to farm that every map, you can certainly run it from the map device. However, there is no scarab to run, so that is the only way to force it right now in 3.14. All right, so on to some Watchstone pairings that you might run with the Harvest strategy. These are Platinum Watchstone modifiers. And there's 3 different things you can roll on those Watchstones. The first would be plants harvested in areas have a % chance to give an additional crafting option. Those are the bountiful rolls. And so you can imagine that it might combo with something like Nature's Favor quite well, where you have a chance to get the additional crafting option. And then when you do, your Nature's Favor will give you sort of the less common, more likely to get the less common crafting option. So that's one pairing that you can do. Another one is Overripe. Harvest crops in areas have a % increased chance to contain a tier 4 plant. And so you can see how that might pair with wild fruit quite well as well. Between the watchstone and the wild fruit, you're going to have, you're really stacking that percent chance to get that tier 4 plant. So if that's what you're farming, you can do that pairing. And then finally, there's also mature roll on platinum watchstones. That's a pretty rare roll to get in isolation, and there's only one tier of that, and that gives you harvest crops and areas have an extra chance to grow higher tier plants. So all of your plants in the harvest have a chance to sort of go higher tier. So if you are looking for the higher tier crafts, again, you can combo that with this to get sort of more tier 4 fruits, but even tier 3 fruits and tier 2 fruits, etc. That one will just in general give you more higher tier plants. All right, so now I'll move on to the next 4 nodes, which are these ones down here in the purple. These are related to essences. And so the first one here is controlled corruption. Corrupting imprisoned monsters in areas cannot release them, and then areas contain an additional essence. This one is pretty good. Areas contain additional essence is already quite good. And then on top of that, corrupting imprisoned monsters in areas cannot release them is quite good. And so when you use a corrupting essence on an imprisoned monster, one of I think 4 things can happen. It can release them and do nothing, so that's a do nothing option. It can upgrade the tier of all the essences on the imprisonment there by 1. It can add an additional essence. And then it can also upgrade those purple essences to the special essences, okay? And so out of the 4 options, there's really only one that does nothing, and that's when they break free, and then you've kind of wasted your corrupting essence. And so having this node is really good because it eliminates that option. And so you're getting a higher probability to get something good, and you're also eliminating the option that you're gonna waste your corrupting essence. So controlled corruption is quite good. And then amplified is very strong as well. Essences found in areas are a tier higher, and that's all the essences in the area. So if you spam a bunch of essences in the area, that's a lot of value to have all of them a tier higher, right? Even having all of your screaming essences in your zone to go up 1 tier to shrieking essence, that alone, that differential could be already like a 5 or 10C uptick total on your map. And so amplified is quite a good node. Now, even the small nodes are kind of worth talking about here. Additional essence chance. Imprisoned monsters have a 20% chance to have an additional essence. So between the 2 nodes, it's 40% chance. And so there is a essence farming strategy that is actually not all that terrible in Haewark Hamlet. Essences are worth quite a bit at this point in the league, and even more so earlier in the league. And so it was a very legitimate strategy to farm essences. And so what you do is, so you've got 1 additional essence from Control Corruption. You can also, on the map device, craft essence for 2 chaos. And this gives you 2 additional essences. And then on top of that strategy, you can also roll some watchstones that I think could combo really well with that strategy, which I actually use also. And these are actually chromium watchstones. Okay, I've actually got some here. On these watchstones, you can roll this mod here. Imprisoned monsters have a % chance to have an additional essence. All right, so you can imagine, with Control Corruption, you're getting the additional essence. This has additional essence. And then you roll the map device, which gets you sort of the two additional essences, and then you're getting additional essence from these small nodes. You're getting additional essence from your watchstones, so you're really stacking up quite a bit of essences. And it's not uncommon now to actually see your imprisoned essences to have 4, sometimes even 5 essences on them without even having the remnant of corruption. And so you're getting a lot of essences out of that, and you're amplifying that with amplified. So everything's a tier higher. So you end up actually getting just a crazy amount of essences with this farming strategy. And essences do sell for quite a good amount and quite quickly, at least in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the league so far in 3.14. All right, so on to the next 4 nodes here. These are in the red, and they are related to ritual altars, which was the 3.13 league mechanic. And there have been a couple strategies that have been very popular so far with ritual that have been quite profitable. But I'll go over the nodes first. The first is Sacred Lands. This one's pretty straightforward. Areas have a plus 10% chance to contain a ritual altar. I don't recall what the base chance of a ritual altar is. Might be 5% or something. So here's another 10%. So you're kind of like 15, somewhere in that 15 to 20% range to get a ritual altar. And then when you do get one, Paid in Blood is very juicy node here. Ritual altars in areas allow rerolling favors 2 additional times, as well 100% increased chance for ritual altars with special rewards. So every time you see a ritual, you can re-roll it multiple times, as well as increased chance of special rewards. So like I say, there have been really 2 very specific strategies that have been very, very popular with ritual right now that have been working quite well. And the first is running blood-filled ritual vessels, which I think I have some here. That's what these are, blood-filled ritual vessels. And if you're not familiar with what these are when you take all those ritual splinters and you form something called a ritual vessel. You can now, once you've defeated a ritual, you can use the vessel onto the defeated ritual and store it as this blood-filled ritual. And then what you end up doing is you put these in with a next map that you run, and then the rituals in that next map that you run will be like juiced up, right? It's going to have more favor and more monsters, and they spawn faster and what have you. And so it really juices up your favor. And so the first strategy is basically running these blood-filled vessels with your map. I think you can run up to the additional 4 slots. You can actually run 4 blood vessels at a time to really juice up your rituals. And so from those rituals, you're going to gain a ton of favor. If you run them juiced up enough, you can be up in the 30,000, 40,000 favor range. And then the strategy is then with Paid in Blood, you're basically re-rolling that altar because you have so much favor. You can only re-roll it, 2 additional times, but that's a lot already. So you re-roll and re-roll, and because with your increased chance for special rewards, you're basically just cycling until you see something that's worth quite a bit, right? And so also with 30 to 40,000 favor from your blood-filled vessels, not only can you re-roll and buy special rewards, but you can basically buy a whole bunch of other stuff too. All right, so I'll just say one quick thing related to the blood-filled vessel strategy. It is a very expensive strategy to run. Each blood-filled vessel, if you're going to buy it, costs you somewhere like 50, 60 chaos per or something. And usually if you're going to do it, you're going to run 4 of them with your map. And so that's going to be like 200C, right? You're a 1.5x per run, okay? And people are doing it. And basically the strategy is really expensive and you're going to lose money. Chances are you're going to lose money hand over fist until you're not. And what that means is you're going to be sort of losing money until you roll that one really sick item from your ritual altar, right? Like a mirror or something. And so Cute Dog has actually put out a video about this a few days ago, talking about his own experience with the blood-filled vessel. Okay, and so he's basically deleting currency until he's not, like I say, until he gets that mirror. It's not like, it's not accretive every map like some other strategies would be, where you're literally every map making profit. This one is kind of like you're losing money until you make money kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. Now, the other strategy is basically farming the materials and selling them to the people who are running the first strategy. And so the second strategy is basically, spamming these maps, running the rituals. Instead of running the blood-filled vessels, you're basically just running these rituals and farming the ritual splinters, right? The ritual vessels themselves are actually selling for quite a bit because of the blood-filled vessel strategy. And so the base blood vessel or ritual vessel is selling for quite a bit in itself. I think it's like 40C for one. And so there's a strategy here where you just, speed run these maps and these rituals and getting all of the splinters as much as you can. And again, with the 2 additional rerolls, the probability that you're going to see a bunch of splinters is very high. And so you can get upwards of 60, 80, maybe sometimes even 100, splinters in just one map. And so every time you get that 100 splinters, there's another 40C right there, right? All right, and then when it comes to the Watchstone modifiers, there is one particular modifier that is very strong for this particular strategy. It's also very rare to roll, but it is areas and ritual altars always have 4 ritual altars. Okay, so if you are familiar with the mechanic, every time you run into a ritual in a map, there's a random either 3 or 4 altars. And so having this watchstone will always force it to 4, but not only does it force it to 4, but also because if you're running Secrets of the Stone from your Uncharted Realms Atlas Ascendancy, which gives you 25% increased effect of watchstone modifiers, your 4 ritual altars now becomes 5. And so really that watchstone is giving you 2 additional altars, really guaranteeing you 1 to 2 additional altars every map, and eliminating that sort of RNG on getting the number of altars. And so that is very, very powerful. With 5 every map, you're going to be stacking that tribute really, really high. And so that's been very good for both the strategies that I talked about, except that is a very expensive watchstone. It's like 9 exalts right now. And so, but rightfully so, it is pretty powerful when combined with the altar. And then there's also 2 other modifiers that you actually can roll on your watchstones as well. The first is rerolling favors at ritual altars and areas cost less tribute, which pretty straightforward. You know, if the reroll, instead of it being 2,000 tribute, will now be some percentage less based on your watchstones. And then the other one is monster sacrifice at ritual altars grant % increased favor. And so basically you're going to get more favor from your rituals. All right, and then the final 6 points in the yellow on the right here are related to the Betrayal or the Syndicate mechanic. The first one is Focused Investigation. June missions grant 100% increased favor, and the areas have a 10% chance to grant an additional June mission on completion. And so this gets you more June missions, of course. And then from there, you get to the first one is Bribery. Immortal Syndicate members are 200% more likely to bargain, and when they do bargain, they're 200% drop 200% more items, okay? And so when you pick that bargain option, basically, you're going to get a much bigger loot explosion from them. And so if you're farming like loot explosion drops, or if you're farming, which leads to, of course, more veiled items dropping. So if you're farming some sort of veiled item strategy, then you would probably want to go for bribery. I haven't heard of many people like specifically doing that and making like bank on it or anything like that. And so I have not come across a strong strategy related to this node yet, but if anyone has done it and is doing really well, make sure to let everybody know in the comment section below. Then the next one is Intelligence Gathering. Completing maps grants 10 intelligence for a random safe house. It's pretty straightforward. It basically just every time you complete a map, you're getting 10 intelligence to one of the 4 safe houses. It's kind of like a passive way to progress your safe houses while you're completing the maps. And so, you know, for me, when it comes to Haewark Hamlet, Syndicate nodes, you know, these are not all like incredibly powerful to me. This is my opinion. And basically what I do in Haewark Hamlet specific to Syndicate is really just to farm the June missions. Between this focus investigation, giving you 10% chance to get June mission on completion, and then some watchstone modifiers, which I'll talk about in a sec here, that give you an increased chance to get June mission. You know, you're really running Haewark Hamlet to build up your June missions, and when you have them, then you can go to Valdo's Rest to use them between Gut Instinct and Test of Loyalty. All right, and so if you are farming Haewark Hamlet for the June missions, of course, you'd be running Focus Investigation, but like I said, you can also run some Watchstone modifiers. These would be Titanium Watchstones, and you would grab the Investigator's prefix, which gives you randomly encountered masters in the area have an increased % chance to be June, first of all, and then second of all, master missions from completing maps have a % chance to be June. And so you would run that in conjunction with Focus Investigation to increase the chance that you're going to get more June missions. All right, so in terms of the personal preferences for this zone, I really, really like the Essence arm here for the 4 points. I've been farming that a lot, and it has been very profitable. Like I say, Essences have been selling early in the league quite well. It still is, and they sell fast. They're a little annoying to sell because there's so many to sell, but you know, they do sell, and if you stack them up in bulk, they sell even better. And so these nodes are quite good. And when you're stacked properly, you know, you can have, you know, 3 imprisoned essences on a map, and they're all going to have 4 or 5 essences within them. And then because of amplified, they're all, you know, screaming or shrieking usually. which is fantastic. And then you hit them with the Remnant of Corruption. You're getting a lot of Deafening Essences. You're getting a lot of those special essences if you're corrupting the purple ones. And so the essence nodes have been actually going quite well, and I almost always have these now in Haewark Hamlet, no matter what else I'm running. But then next, as you can see, I'm trying this ritual thing out right now. It's pretty cool. I haven't done the blood-filled vessel thing yet. I'm going to pretty shortly here. But in terms of just farming the normal rituals without blood-filled vessels, you are, susceptible to the probability to see a ritual. There's no other way to kind of force a normal ritual onto the map. So, what you have your at the mercy of the percent chance of seeing one. And like say, I'm a relatively slow mapper, I think, this league with my character. And so I haven't churned out nearly enough maps to see these at a high enough clip for it to be really, really good. But Ritual is still very rewarding, and I enjoy it when I see them. And so this arm has been pretty good. Now, Harvest is still very good as well, guys. Even after the nerfs 3.14, still very good. You can still make some very good currency out of it. And so I know a lot of people are still running these and are doing quite well. Sometimes I actually switch into them if I'm specific about finding something in Harvest. And so Harvest, definitely do not discount that at all. These are very powerful nodes to run here. And then, like I say, for me, the last is really the Immortal Syndicate. And I've been running these primarily only to get Jew missions. If that, honestly, I don't even really farm Jew missions. When I'm out from running Valdo's Rest, I really just go and do something else until they passively build up again. If I were to, Haewark Hamlet was really just for me to farm the Jew missions. And in terms of using them, I'll end up using them in Valdo's Rest. All right, everybody, that'll do it for Haewark Hamlet. Like I say, I have a video for each of the map zones, and you can find the playlist in the description below. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found the video helpful. And if you did, please like and subscribe. I also stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Times are in the description below. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.